Hey guys, this is Ed from Mission Impossible, and with me I have Wyatt, and welcome to RetroGrade, where we review Atari 2600 games, and we go through and make a tier list of them. This week, we have Telegames, and we have Amiga, and we have all the other one-off companies that only had one game.
Onesie-twosies.
Onesie-twosies, basically. So, we got a lot of different games here. If you look at all the cover art, it's very disparate here.
Eclectic.
Very.
I'll call it.
Yes. Let's have you go start this time.
How novel. Me start? Yes. How crazy.
Yeah, so then I'll just copy you. So.
Of course. As always. All right. Universal Chaos by some company. Telegames, that's right.
We need we have the thing there.
Right. Over here we've got the Telegames. We have a small list. Yeah. Don't worry about it. This is all off the cuff. I remember everything perfectly. I'm going to give Universal Chaos a B.
Okay. It was kind of neat. It was kind of
It didn't have a lot of variation between the levels, but it was a pretty solid loop, shooting all the guys. Took a little bit of strategy. I thought the way the music sped up and slowed down depending on your speed was kind of cool.
Yep.
It was not perfect, so B is where it goes, but fun at least.
Yeah, we played it for a little while. The whole turning around thing was interesting.
Yeah, that was a little weird.
It was kind of like you couldn't turn on a dime. You had to turn, go back to it a couple times.
Turn.
Yeah. Sure. Sounds good. I'll call it a B too.
There you go.
Ditto?
There
you go.
Yeah. Glacier Patrol was the other Telegames game we played. I don't know where to rank this. It wasn't very fun.
No.
Wasn't a lot going on with it, to be honest. I'm just, you know what? We've only got 2 weeks left. I'm throwing out...
You're just going for it.
I'm just going on vibes today, folks.
All right, fair enough. Here's the thing I have with that problem. There's no way to, win the game. Because, I mean, the guys come down so faster than you can move to get them.
Often, yeah. You move pretty slow.
Yeah.
They don't come down very often, also. Sometimes they'll come down like bam, bam, bam. Then sometimes it'll be literally 30 seconds of just standing there with nothing happening.
I'm not going to go so far as a D because we got a lot more there here that deserve the D.
But I think that is true.
Sorry. Anyway, we have a lot worse games on here.
They deserve it like crazy.
Go ahead there, Wyatt. It's your turn.
Amiga. Oh boy, Amiga made Mogul Mania for their Power Joypad.
The Joy Board.
The Joy Board.
Yep, so you were supposed to stand on it and pretend you're skiing.
I'm going to give this one a B. At first I thought it wasn't very good because it was super slow. And then I found out you just have to press forward to actually speed up.
It didn't seem obvious that you could push forward.
No, it did not.
Yeah.
Once we found that out, though, I won't lie, the rest of it was like, okay, this game is genuinely better.
Yeah.
Once you start going a speed, there's enough challenge, and you actually are trying to go for time and consistency.
Right.
And doing well on it felt very satisfying. So I'm going to give it a B, because it probably didn't need to be on a Joy board.
Yeah, it was a gimmick. It
was a gimmick, but it wasn't a gimmick that... sometimes a gimmick is like, wow, they executed their gimmick well.
Right.
I wouldn't say Mogul Mania really did that. It executed...
Maniac, actually.
Oh, was it Maniac?
Yeah, I kind of
gets cut off there, and I remember calling it Mogul Mania earlier.
Sure.
It doesn't, but Mogul Maniac, just dub over my previous times I called it something else.
Sure.
We'll just fix it in post. But the game didn't execute on the gimmick, but it did execute on being a fun first-person skiing mogul kind of game.
Actually, that is something to consider. It is a first-person game, and you get further in, you get trees and stuff. That was kind of neat.
Yeah.
I would say I liked it better than Universal Chaos, so I'm putting it.
I don't know. They're pretty even, so I'm just going to leave it as it is. But
Totally fine.
definitely not bad. I will say that. Next one is Amiga's Off Your Rocker.
Right.
Trying to remember this one a little better.
Simon.
Oh, that's right. This goes firm, easy then.
Yeah.
See, I've played enough Simon on this system.
Yeah,
The only thing I will give this over other Simon games we've played, at least all the directions made sense.
right.
It's easy
Well,
enough.
that one that we played, that was like, it had 4 buttons.
It had
or
weird
something.
mapping.
Yeah,
and I understand that, but this one was decent for that. I will say I'm kind of surprised. Interesting box art.
Yeah, I
Kind of a fun little animated
I don't know.
guy.
It seems like it's almost like a proof of concept, almost of like, why would it's like almost like to test out the joyboard or something. I don't know. It just seemed why they would do that.
It did feel very unnecessary as a game.
Yeah,
I can't say they did it poorly. And some of the animations on the guy when you went in
that
different
was
directions,
cool, but the game itself,
just kind of flat.
Yeah.
fell on its butt for me.
Yeah.
So, the next one was
Air Raid.
Menavision, right? Air Raid's Menavision, or Menavision's Air Raid,
Correct.
rather. This game is worth $8,000, and it sucks.
Pretty much.
Glacier Patrol was
Better?
less fun.
Yeah.
So I'm still gonna leave it lower, but it was better in some ways. It physically was better.
Yeah.
Air Raid didn't work. It shot
kinda,
through
yeah,
things.
the-
I have collision detection on the Atari 2600 is not an issue I've seen a lot.
Right.
For the most part, it's almost a little generous in most
Right,
games.
right.
And I've
This
played
was-
at this point
yeah.
a lot of Atari
You
2600
played
games.
almost all of them.
Just about all of them.
Yes.
And this one was by far the worst put together I've ever seen because of the collision detection. Or for collision detection, rather. It had some interesting graphics, but I'm not going to let it get away just because it's apparently worth $1 million or whatever.
So you're saying you wouldn't pay $8,000 for Air Raid?
I wouldn't pay... Well, that's not true. I would pay $20 for Air Raid.
yes, and then resell it.
And then
for
resell it.
Yes.
But if the only option I had was if you buy something you have to keep it, I would
Yeah.
pay $10 for Air Raid.
Right. It is a cool looking cartridge, though.
It's a neat cartridge. I'd hold it and I'd be like, wow, neat.
Neat.
And then
and sell.
Yeah. And then I'd 3D print one and hold it if I really felt the need to.
Right.
The next one's the birthday
Yes. Birthday Mania.
Birthday Mania. There's a lot of Mania and Maniac in all this area, in this era of games. Birthday Mania.
Where you're blowing out the candles.
Yeah.
It was basically like,
You know,
I don't know.
I'm going to give it a high C, actually.
Okay.
It was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Mostly because you could constantly fire.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't an overly well put together game, but it had an interesting premise. And Robert Tokar got that cartridge at one point.
Yep.
Good
Yep.
for him.
Yep.
Happy birthday.
Yeah.
It's unique for what it kind of is. And it wasn't bad enough. It was inoffensive, I guess, is the big thing.
Sure.
It did not necessarily set the world on fire, but I don't think that's really what they wanted to do. I think they wanted to make kids happy to see their name on a screen.
Yeah, and the concept of, I'm going to give it a low B. The concept of it is really neat. I mean, you know, we have things like naming stars after people and stuff. You can buy
a star.
buy a star or whatever. And the idea of naming something and having your kind of your name in lights. The idea of being able to say, okay, sure, I'll program you a custom game for you.
It's pretty sweet, especially for the time, where that wasn't necessarily something that just anyone could do.
If this had caught on, that would have been really, really cool as a gift. You put it in there and you see your name in there. I don't know.
It's like in more modern games when they do, you know, like an RPG, but you can put in your name, but some of the names are recorded.
Right.
It's really satisfying when your name is one of the ones that they recorded.
Exactly.
My name was one of the names in Fallout 4, actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the robot would say my name, and it was like,
Wow. Oh, that is neat. Yeah, I don't remember. I didn't know they had some of them like that. That's interesting.
Yeah.
Huh. That must have been very cool.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah,
And
that's interesting. I mean, your name is not that common.
it is not, but it was just one of those names I guess they picked because it was interesting. They picked a variety of names.
Okay.
And to be honest, some more common ones got left out, ironically, from the list that I saw. But
next time I play that, I'm gonna have to see if are you talking about like the household robot guy?
yeah, Cogsworth.
Yeah, Cogsworth. Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
He comes up and he's like, "Oh,
Cogsworth. Yeah, whatever. Yeah, anyway.
my best friend."
Yes. That is funny. Okay.
And but yeah, so it's a cool concept, and I'm glad that it exists. But yeah, also all the candles you were blowing out were very clearly just like regular taper candles, and that was a little funny.
Yeah, I mean,
it's not.
There could have been other things. You
It
could have
doesn't
blown out
super matter, but
on
it
a
was
cake
just sort
or
of funny.
something,
Yeah,
but-
if all of them were cakes with little flames on top, would have worked a little better. But the main point was the name, I think. It did what it set out to do.
Yep.
Oh man, BMX though. That's an S-tier game. That is a genuinely S-tier game. TNT Games, I think, made this, right? They nailed it.
I have zero problems copying.
This is one of the coolest games on the 2600. The way that the little sprite works, the kind of 3D that it creates, looked so cool. It was fun. Like genuinely fun. I wanted to get.
We played it for quite a while, actually,
and we would have kept playing it had we not had to stop.
Yep.
This is one of those games that, like, I will remember from this whole experience and talk about.
Yeah.
I'll also remember really bad games.
Oh, yeah.
This is at that nice end where I'm going to be like, I remember that fondly.
Yep. All right.
Just really cool.
Yeah, I mean...
and also not really something that was catered to on the system, like the tricks and... kind of that extreme sports. There were some of those things starting to percolate on the system, and that would later go on to other stuff. But this and, like, I think Summer Games are really the only two examples I can think of.
Also, California Games.
California Games, that's the one I was thinking of most.
Yeah, but it's the same idea.
Summer Games didn't have the BMX though.
Yeah, it's just you have more flexibility on what you can do. That gives it more funness. And obviously,
there's a little bit of creativity of like how many times can I spin? What can I do? And there were little ways to do tricks, and it was just I wanted to play more, and I probably will in the future. Yeah, that is a cool game.
Very cool.
Also very late 1980.
Yeah, yes, very late.
But Boing. Oh, Boing's a little harder because it was actually surprisingly fun. It just didn't have a lot of gravitas to a lot of the stuff. It was just like, all right, you won, keep going, whatever. So there wasn't a lot of flair. The title screen is just the entire game, essentially. I think I'll give it a high B though, because it did do what it was setting out to do, and it had kind of a unique spin on the light up tiles thing. So
I gotta give it an A. I thought it was really well done. At the beginning, like when I first tried it out, I think the emulation was messed up and the sound was really messed up. But actually after playing it and then realizing, okay, you go up in the higher levels and then you have to do them in levels versus just any, and it played really well. I felt like we were playing it for quite a while just because it was pretty fun. It's not as fun as BMX, but it was a solid game.
Hard to compete with that though, because that game again is like a kind of a rare one on the system.
Exactly.
We've not had a ton of S's through this, and that just really deserved it. But Boing, not bad. Kind of a funny name though.
Yes.
Hard to say because it's Boing.
Boing? Yeah.
It's hard to figure out where I'm supposed to... How enthusiastic am I supposed to say this?
It's like, you can't say just wham. It's wham.
Wham.
Yeah. Boing.
Yeah. I'm going to put Cat Trax... Next game, Cat Trax.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was getting a little ahead of myself because Cat Trax is like sort of whatever in a lot of ways. Great, another Pac-Man.
Pretty much.
Almost totally. Like,
did they do Pac-Man better than Pac-Man?
yeah, that's true.
Not that that's a high bar.
Not really.
Yeah, for me...
But it also didn't have any very good sound design, and I didn't much... So it kind of...
sounded like a siren.
Yeah, just like a lot of like negative noises for positive things.
Yeah.
And it wasn't like super smooth to move around, but it worked. Like,
I didn't really like
way better.
The flashing. The flashing was pretty extensive.
Yeah.
Pretty intense. But I mean, yeah, it was. There's not much to say about it.
I don't need to play Pac-Man again.
Yeah, it was okay.
If you're gonna do a maze game, I'm kind of surprised this hasn't been done more in like later years or even now or even then. If you're gonna do a maze Pac-Man game, do something with it that's a little different. Like, I think it was Mousetrap or Ladybug that had like, but I think both, where like the maze would change a little bit. You could affect it in some ways. Yeah. Like there's something to do
much
there.
more interactive.
Yeah. Yeah. Whereas this is just Pac-Man. There's
pretty much
nothing that's different about it except the sprites are different.
Right.
And also I guess you're eating mice. Except you're not. You become an exterminator.
Yeah, which was very, just like, I guess maybe the cat's driving a car now.
I guess
because he can't go catch the mice.
It feels very flimsily thought out.
Yeah, exactly.
Condor Attack.
The much worse demon attack.
The much worse demon attack. It doesn't deserve the D, but it does not go much further than a low C.
Fair.
It just wasn't a lot of fun. It felt very stiff in how you would start out after you lose a life. And it felt weird that everything else was still going the whole time.
Yeah,
it just,
I didn't like the fact that it was like flickering and it was just really kind of...
It was hard on the eyes.
Yeah, and it was just... Yeah, I mean, not much to say about it other than, another shoot up at space games game, and it just...
And I've had about enough of those.
Yeah.
At least without something else going on.
Sure. Yeah, not much else to say. It was just a game.
Do more.
Yeah.
Is all I gotta say.
Eli's Ladder.
Oh, yeah. The math game.
Yep.
It was a lot better than the last math game.
Yeah.
But it was still really boring.
Yes.
Less boring, I guess, because it had some visual to it.
The graphics look good.
The graphics were decent, and you were climbing a ladder, and then it's like, wow.
Yeah, the wow thing was kind of neat.
It was cute. I can't put it in, like, D
it's hard because you have to, grade it based on what it's supposed to be,
But I also think that I'm not going to put it at high D, but I will put it at a very low C because... Yeah, what it's supposed to be is a math game, but I feel like, especially knowing some, this is a little unfair, but there are games like Math Blasters that I've played, and I've played games that involve math that aren't boring.
Right. Yeah, for me, I'm gonna give it a little higher up, I think, but still a C. I'm gonna give it a little higher C because again, it is a game that's meant to be educational, and the graphics were good. It had a separate screen, so I might, give it a little bit of props.
It had some stuff, but it just
they could have added more.
The fun factor just wasn't super there.
Right.
Next, the ripoff ET Extraterrestrial.
Z. Yeah.
This also a D game. That was not fun.
Not particularly.
It didn't have anything going on. You would run into invisible walls that made a terrible noise.
Right.
And you're just a guy. You're an ET guy, and it's...
Yeah, I don't see...
There's no reason to ever go to the bottom, because, you gotta pick up some of these equal signs. But also, the only place that guy would move is the bottom layer.
Right.
The one enemy that could hurt you was on one layer, and he never moved up. Or moved particularly quickly.
The weird thing was hitting the walls. The invisible walls.
It was so annoying. It didn't add anything. Yeah. It was just annoying, because it was never like, oh, there's a whole section here. I gotta go through an invisible maze. It was, I found the invisible wall. Go around around it. Oh, great. That was such a good use of everyone's time.
Yeah. It was just a blatant ripoff of the ET sprite and stuff. It's like, really?
Yeah,
okay.
Just very as a game.
Yeah, there you go. Gamma Attack.
Oh, by Gamation or whatever.
Yes.
This one was all right.
No, this is the one, the seizure-inducing game.
Oh, yeah, I'm putting this one in T2 then.
Yeah.
I forgot which one that was. I'm thinking of this one down the line a little bit. One of these. Rescue Terra I is the one I was thinking of.
Oh, that's very different.
Yeah, that one was all right, but I have stuff to say about it. But we'll get there. Gamma Attack?
Yeah.
Ugly.
Yeah.
Ugly game that didn't make any sense. And then they didn't even bother to program game over.
Right.
You just become a guy. You still make the shooting sound. You just don't do anything.
Yep.
You just can no longer interact with the world.
Theoretically, this was done.
And it isn't.
Yeah.
Like, Extraterrestrial at least felt like they finished. It just didn't feel like they tried.
Right.
Oh, man. Gamma Attack. Yeah, some real stinkers this week. Some really impressive ones, too. But we're still going. I'm just like... Man, I've got 4 Ds.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
But the next one, Glib.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give that one the highest C.
Okay.
It was fun that it was a word game, that it worked. Wasn't super intuitive on how to do things. E and P don't make much sense as far as buttons to push on whether or not you have a word. And it also just didn't feel like... There wasn't a lot of chutzpah, bells or whistles to it. I didn't always know what I was doing.
Is Scrabble the game in a way?
Yeah.
And it was like they were trying to adapt Scrabble to its
I like word games, and it just felt like it was... They were like, we'll just give you like a small handful and you'll make... a word.
Yeah. That being said, I could see it, if you like Scrabble, I could see liking it. There are some weirdness.
Well, here's
like
the problem. I love Scrabble.
Right, but it just didn't do it for you.
Just didn't scratch the itch that game.
Sure. Like,
there are some even just modern phone games that make words and then match them up. I've been playing Gubbins on the App Store.
Heard of that one. Okay.
Yeah, it's a good game though, and so to do that, and then I see this, and it's like I can see what they're trying, and I don't want to knock them for that because for the 2600, I think they did about as well as a word game could do.
Yeah, I think they set out to do what they were going to do.
Yeah,
I think the E and the P were the weirdest part.
It was kind of awkward.
Yeah,
and then just like random letters, you have one letter that you have to use. If they had just given you random letters,
right,
I think that would have been more fun or interesting because it's like I just want to make a word. I don't want to have to. There's a word there. It doesn't involve this letter.
Right.
So that feels where it feels kind of cheap almost. Like,
give me the letters and I'll make a word. Don't give me the letters and give me one letter. It's like it's too restrictive.
In a way that doesn't actually make for better difficulty.
Right.
But it was fine enough. The next one, Music Machine, which is...
It's the one like Kaboom with musical notes.
Yeah. Those of you who caught the stream, watch out. Look down below. I'm not going to say what. This is a secret between you and me, but...
Right. You might not, depending on how long we talk, you might not even get to that point.
Who knows? I don't know how he chooses which clips to use. And what am I talking about? Mystery.
Anyway.
The Music Machine was Kaboom, but worse.
Yes.
You had to avoid some things. It was really unclear why you had to avoid them.
Right.
All avoiding most of it did was lower your score, but not more than catching something raised your score.
Right.
So there's not a lot of incentive to play most of the game.
Right.
It just didn't.
It was not obvious on what you're supposed to do.
Didn't track super well. The music itself was kind of fun that you would win a level and it would play a little ditty and
right.
It would play sounds as you caught every individual thing and it would like go up in it would like do a step ladder of notes. That was kind of fun. There were good things to it. I just don't think it really accomplished much as a game in and of itself. So I'm gonna
They could have done a lot better with that.
I think so.
I was thinking like they could have done a staff and like actually as you get this note, it goes up to the top.
Yeah, but it was also just random objects.
Exactly. It didn't really
if it was like a recognizable song, like a culturally significant public domain song that had lyrics that the items correlated to in some way, that's kind of fun. But it's like, oh, this is a random scale, and I'm picking up a heart and a present and a guy.
Yeah.
But not that guy, because that guy will knock off 100 points. It was just kind of weird that way.
The graphics look good.
Yeah, and I will say that.
But it was the theme of it. It was just, let's see where I'd put it. It's got to be higher than those guys, though. Yeah, I'll put it there, mid-C for me.
Sure.
It was okay, but it just seems like if you're gonna do that kind of game, you should do something cool with it, not just, hey, let's make Kaboom with music stuff. Yeah,
just feels
dumb.
Kind of lazy.
Yep.
And the next one on our list, Quest for
Quintana Roo.
Quest for Quintana Roo.
Yep.
I still don't know what a Quintana Roo is,
right?
But I do know that was incredible. That game, takes a little bit of a learning curve to get into it, so I can't give it better than BMX, which was a little more straightforward.
Right.
That game has so much going on. That's a real RPG on this system.
Yeah.
In a lot of ways, you're doing it.
Yeah, it reminded me kind of what they wanted to do, maybe with like Raiders of the Lost Ark and some of the other ones we've seen.
Yes,
but
it executed it.
Yeah, and it's just a lot less UI issues. Like having to use a second joystick or doing all these things. It was, obviously we had to know a couple of things. Like, and Jeremiah helped us in the stream. Thanks. Of like the blue is this, red is this, and all that stuff. But really cool game. I did not realize how much was going on in that game. They really nailed it.
I just want to beat it now. Really, truly, because it seems like there's an actual end state based on everything we were seeing, and it makes me excited to play more.
Right.
So, just Quest for Quintana Roo. Just the incredible feat for this system.
Oh yeah.
And it just makes me want to play more exploration games. It just makes me want to go into some sort of open world RPG right now and run around and find stuff. Because it felt like finding things. Right. It felt like exploring.
What would be interesting is to know if it was randomized or not.
For real, yeah. It would be... we'll have to go back and play sometime and see if we can notice any patterns. But the next one was the Red Sea Crossing, which I gotta say, kind of surprised me with its quality. I'm gonna give this one a high B, because it was just jumping across screens, but it had progressively more difficult challenges, each of which kind of built on what you had learned from the previous screens, so that you know what to watch out for. And it was just kind of fun.
It wasn't bad. This is the first and only, as far as I know, religious game on the 2600. It wasn't bad. I mean, it's not something I would rush out to play again, but for me, I think I don't know if I'm gonna go as high as you did. I thought it was decent. The graphics were interesting. The sprite is like really huge and stuff.
There was a lot of that.
It was a little off-putting in some ways, but I think that it accomplished what he wanted to do. The author of the game. One of the things that's interesting about all these games, or a lot of them that we're seeing today, the majority of them are very rare. This is one of those that we don't even have a box art, because no box art, as far as people know, exists. So at least we don't have any scans for it. Same with like Birthday Mania and some of these other ones. So it's really kind of an interesting idea of seeing these games
that nobody's played.
Yeah, pretty much.
For real. Yeah. Very, very unique experience to see that. And the rest of these games, whatever we rank them, just kind of cool to have that piece of history from these.
Yep.
But even Air Raid, which, again, bad game. Don't play it.
Buy it, sell it, but don't play it.
Don't play it. Don't bother playing it. Okay, Rescue Terra I.
Mm-hmm. The strawberry shooting game.
Yeah, that one, it's my own fault for doing this, but I cannot go super high with it. I'm gonna give it a low B.
It's your own fault because you just held down the button and see how far you could get.
And then I got way farther, and that made me like the game less, because it's like, oh, there's nothing going on here.
Yeah, pretty much.
I got so far. It took and it's like, if that new enemy had happened at like the second level,
right,
then it's like, oh, okay, so you can do that on like the first level,
right?
You know, kind of brute force it, interesting strategy, and then whatever. Right. It took like 6 levels before anything could actually challenge the strategy of don't move and shoot down.
Right.
And to be honest, it wasn't that interesting of an addition.
I like the graphics.
I did too.
But the game,
it was just, it didn't do much.
Yeah. The graphics were really good. You know, I mean, for what they were trying to do. But yeah, I think they totally look like strawberries. So.
Yeah, like just little berries. Yeah. Very, very strange.
It'd be odd to be shooting them, but you know, whatever.
Hey, maybe you don't like strawberries, or maybe they're evil strawberries. I fought strawberries. Look, evil tomatoes.
There you go.
Fought bull tomatoes or whatever. Yeah. Beef.
It'd be interesting to look in the manual and see what
everything
intended.
Was supposed to be.
Yeah, like I mean, the rocket ship made sense, but
asteroids or I don't know. The next one, Tax Avoiders. This game wasn't unfun, I will say that. It had... the movement was smooth, but there was a lot of flashing for no reason. And the theme is dumb, for lack of a better term.
Nothing says more fun like avoiding taxes.
Yeah, and it's like, oh great, and there's then you go into a second screen randomly maybe at the end of a month, maybe not, I couldn't really tell, and you interact with
different guys.
A guy who is a man who puts on different hats and has different jobs.
Yeah, pretty much.
And it's like, if there were 3 dudes and I had to avoid one that's pursuing me while the others run away from me that I have to collect to get like positive things.
Kind of like E.T. had that,
Yeah. Maybe that would have been a little better. And then and the flashing for all the main screen. And the fact that the elevator's invisible because of it.
Yeah, that was weird. I didn't like that first screen. The second screen was interesting in that, you know, you would go to one of the guys and he'd give you a tax shelter, and then you put it in your portfolio.
Yeah, and you can get a tax shelter and you can put it in your portfolio, and you can gain all these assets and put them in your portfolio and stuff.
The concept of it is interesting.
It did it okay in that section, but again, it should have been 3 dudes. The fact that it's the same guy who just changes color makes it feel very like, why did I bother? Why? So I'm going to give it a mid-C because it's like, it had surprising potential mechanically.
Right.
But I just can't see myself wanting to play that first screen that much.
The first screen is a detractor, I would definitely say.
Pretty reasonably sized detractor, too.
Yeah. But I do think that, you know, compared to some of the other games we have played, it had more interesting things going on. And, you know, it had a lot more depth than some of these other ones.
True, yeah.
You know,
a little bit more depth is not something I'm going to complain about, but...
Compared to, like, say, Rescue Terra I, which is you just shoot...
Had nothing going on,
things.
Shoot space down instead of up.
Instead of up, but this actually had stuff where you're trying to do it now. The first screen, if we just ignored the first screen...
Right, it could have been a bit better, but there was even flashing on the second screen, and it was just... The game has potential, and I really want to give that to it, but... otherwise.
Yeah, I just see some of these games and I think
great concept?
Yeah.
Well, no.
No, it's not a great
concept. Great,
very odd concept.
Surprisingly good half of an execution of a weird concept.
Right.
Sort of an odd compliment I'm giving it, but...
Yeah, you know, I see some of these games and I think, okay, you need to make a game with these kind of elements. And I think I would have done something similar to, like, say, E.T., where you have a big maze and you're trying to go and collect money or collect these objects and avoid these bad guys and get to the good guys. And
you could have just done it better and more
exactly.
notable,
No pits. But, you know, the idea of that, what he was trying to do was interesting. I think that if he'd have just done it in a different, implemented
it needed
differently,
different
then it
mechanics.
could have been cool.
But
Yeah.
the last one of our onesie-twosies, Tooth Protector. A game in which you bounce balls back at a cavity monster, and the balls are confusingly different colored and they don't seem to matter, and then occasionally he'll just pick you up and go rawr, and then nothing happens and you continue to play the game. And you're trying to bounce the balls back at him, but it's super hard to aim, and man, it's not D, but it's not great. It's better than Condor Attack, I think. It had interesting graphics.
Yeah, the graphics
It's kind of interesting that you did have a heal occasionally, like if you were losing teeth, you could brush and floss.
Yeah, but we never got there.
No, it never happened.
Oh, is that supposed to be the floss guy? He looked like a trash can?
Yeah.
The green thing? It looked like a
it
trash can to me.
flossing.
He was flossing. I missed that. Yeah, I think that the idea of the game is neat, but the implementation was weird.
Not a great job, Johnson & Johnson.
Yeah. Let's see, where does it belong in here? Ooh, Well, we didn't see everything there is to see on it. I think there was more stuff as we got.
Right, but it's hard to say whether or not it was just more of the same or what it was. So
I'm gonna put it mid D or mid C. It's
I actually might put it above Cat Trax because Cat Trax, at least this was trying something.
Right. I mean, the graphics were kind of neat.
Yeah, you've got to give it its due where it has it, but all in all. Yeah. Onesie-twosies, not a bad week.
It was an interesting week, that's for sure.
We had some fun with this.
Yeah. There was some good and not so good ones.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't really rate them against each other because they were really
it's such a smattering, but I gotta say, I'm excited for next week.
Yeah, next week should be interesting. So we're doing Starpath / Arcadia.
The last
one.
Yeah, catch the stream because it'll be up well before the video.
Yeah, exactly. It should be next Friday at 12 Pacific. So
be there, be square.
There you go. All right, guys. I think that's all we have.
Other than letting us know what your rankings as usual.
And if you had any of these, especially some of the rare ones, definitely would like to know.
Please, I would love to know that.
Yeah.
It's got these rare, weird games.
Yeah, it's neat. I think the one that for me, the darling one is the Birthday Mania.
It's so fun.
The idea of it. Ignore the game itself.
I would love to see a copy just to see like...
It would just be neat to like, if someone gave you that as a gift.
It's sweet.
It's cool. Yeah, it's like, oh, my own game, Yeah. So too bad there's only apparently like 10 copies. Yeah, it's crazy. But anyway, well, that's all we have. Yeah. So see you in the next adventure. Take care. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to hit the like button. If you'd like to see more of this kind of content, be sure to hit the subscribe button and ring the bell. I post new videos all the time and I wouldn't want you to miss any. If you'd like to see more of this series, be sure to click up here. And if you'd like to see something else, be sure to click up here.